All right, so I've seen the first episode of season 2. Robert House, the vaunted figure of the Fallout New Vegas game, had made an appearance in the prior season. And this first episode reuses that clip because it's so important. And he's one of the moguls seated at that Doctor Strangelove style meeting room in which Cooper's wife drops a bombshell. She and Voltec are willing to drop a bombshell in the literal sense. Now, upon my second viewing, I noticed the camera panning up over her shoulder to a shadowy figure overseeing the meeting. Just doing a little bit of research suggests that that shadowy figure would be the real Robert House, and the one seated at the table with the placard Robco is like a body double. I've learned that Robert House has a half brother whose name escapes me, but he's the owner of the H&H company that is mentioned in this episode. It did seem kind of weird that maybe it was the same actor who maybe gained a little bit of weight, or maybe they recast him for whatever reason, but now I realize it's like they're two separate characters. Robert House and then Robert House's half brother. And he's the one who picks a fight with those construction workers, and he plants that mind control device on the back of the one fella's brainstem, and he detonates it. That device is shown later in the episode. This episode is really all about building up the house mythology. The ghoul tells Lucy it wasn't a they, it was a him. The first season was all about, Hank, building up Hank McClane to be this important figure, and he still is, but it really gives you a sense of like the aura of Robert House. He's almost certainly the man who Hank is making that voice memo for. Funny part where he checks his voicemail, he's got over 400,000 messages. But just the nature of his voice recording. He refers to Voltec as like a separate entity. Maybe he worked for Voltec, but he was kind of an inside man for the man, aka Robert House. The ghoul, to me, is really just more like a facade, a character that he's playing. I think it's more obvious at the finale of the first season, in which he straight up asks Hank where his family is, but he doesn't have that drawl that he's been using. At that place with those matching jackets, as the ghoul calls them, and Lucy is supposed to like free him and then kill the other guys, but she shoots him in the arms and the leg. Before she does that, she kind of like tries to bargain with them, not out of stupidity, just stubbornness. She's really trying to like take the high road, be more civil rather than feral. That's like central to her character. I'm not really a fan of those hyper gory, super violent sequences. Cheery song playing in the background from that era. I know that's like the Fallout shtick. They don't really do anything for me. For me, it's really more the intrigue, especially the flashbacks, trying to uncover what happened. There are flashbacks to the before times Howard meets up with Moldaver. I realize now that she must have been cryogenically frozen. I think it's the first instance of like the Reds, the communists, the belligerents in this conflict explicitly being shown as China, right? The Wakakami game that Cooper's daughter Janie plays. In the present day, when he and Lucy go to Vault 34, I think it is, they find the remains of people who'd been brainwashed into believing they were communists, and there's a damaged film reel in Chinese. I think it's interesting that when they first enter, Lucy kind of has tears in her eyes. I didn't really catch that on my first viewing. For her to enter this ruined state, this ruined vault, it's like devastating for her. In her home vault, Vault 33, we're seeing an exaggerated divide between the people from the four times, the people who are supposedly, technically they are from Vault 31, like Betty, who's the overseer of 33, and Stephanie, who's now the overseer of Vault 32. Just like how they're the more pragmatic, get things done. The true Vault dwellers, they're like off in their own world. I like how Betty straight up calls Reggie, you know, useless. But I really like that inbreeding support group. Really makes him seem like, yeah, he's got some depth to his character, and I think he's going to be um, a noteworthy character as this season goes on. And Norm, of course, he's in Vault 31. Betty tells everyone that he's gone to Vault 31 for leadership training. She either knows that he's actually in Vault 31, or she doesn't know that he's in Vault 31, but she's just making that as a cover, like a fail safe. I think he's always been pretty smart, pretty analytical, critical thinker. And he's on the cusp of dying. In a moment of defiance, he opens all the pods. No Maximus so far. The consensus that he's the weakest character, like the least interesting. But I think with him being in charge of the Brotherhood of Steel, obviously having feelings for Lucy, I think they'll get together in the end. I think they really complement each other well. He's street smart. Lucy, on the other hand, is more book smart. It'll be interesting to see how the Brotherhood of Steel interacts with the other factions. Another good point, again, this is something that I only picked up on my second viewing. It's something that you would miss if you just had the show playing in the background. She comes home, taking this incredible weight off of her shoulders. And Cooper, in that same home, he's doing the same. And then when they face each other, they're doing the best acting that they possibly could. And she's just kind of going along with, I don't know, some kind of scheme, conspiracy. So I'm thinking that maybe, yeah, it is Robert House who orchestrates the dropping of the bombs. And I missed it the first time, but Moldaver practically tells Cooper that he's got to kill House. Just play nice with your wife. Like, she says it without explicitly saying it. From what I can tell in the New Vegas game, Robert House is never actually seen. It's just a projection of him or an image of him on a screen. Maybe he exists kind of like as a AI construct, or maybe something like Bud, who's the brain. Yeah, good episode, not too long.